Hey, what's up, guys? It's Angelo from Team Y Guys here, giving you a live feature match. Today we have Madolche versus Zoodiac Dogmatika. We have Kyron playing Zoo and me playing Madolche. So Kyron starts off really strong, opening up that one barrage, getting him that free Thoroughblade. And then from here, he's gonna XC into a Hammer Kong and going straight into the Trident. And then he's going to try to special summon the Ecclesia in defense position, but I have the impermanence to stop that search because getting that free punishment or fleur-de-lis is way too strong against Madolche, where it's a very fragile and glass cannon type of deck. Unfortunately for me, I only have to worry about one card and two back row, and I'm not really too worried about the Trident because I am playing a going second variant. I'm just trying to make sure that Trident only says like a pop one, so that way I can make my plays a little bit more precise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just activate the impermanence on the Trident, and then from there he's just going to detach, getting that free monster in the graveyard. And then from there I'm going to triple tactics talents, and I draw into a Feather Duster and a Madolche Chateau. Very strong. So I get the Feather Duster, I get away those pesky trap cards, so now I am free to just completely go off. And I know that if he has a monster negate, it's all okay, because I could just come back next turn and straight up go into whatever I need to go through. So he does Valor the Madolche, which is completely fine, because I'm just gonna activate the Chateau and attack over the Ecclesia, because I do not want that to be on the field any further, just in case if he does draw into a Dogmatika card, he'll have that extra body on board. So I pass turn, and he goes straight into attack position with the Trident, and then he overlays for a Chalka 9, and I'm going to think about this for a little while. So use Chalka 9's effect, and I'm thinking about this whole situation because I know if I give him more advantage that I'm going to be in a quite predicament. So I do have a set Madolche Promenade, so I'm thinking about trying to negate it. So I target the Madolche, trying to negate it, but then he just goes ahead and responds with the Chalka 9 to get rid of the card, which is fine by me because I know that next turn I probably will gain some sort of advantage by playing through all of the zoo cards, because I'm not really worried about the cards all too much. The most things I'm worried about right now is just the Trident pop, because he does summon the other XC that came out in the previous set with the Dogmatika cards, and that's actually really good in Zoo, to be honest. It's a nice tech, but I'm not really too worried about it because I could just get it away with Tiramisu. So he passes turn, and I'm thinking about what I need to do to get over this board, because he does have another card, and I do know they play a lot of hand traps in Zoo Dogmatika. So I'm just trying to think about my graveyard. I have two impermanences in the grave, a Tactics, a Feather Duster, and the Promenade. So I know that I have the option to get a Tiramisu off eventually, because I do have the Promenade in grave. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to normal summon the Madolche once more, and he's going to allow the search. So I get the Sessor, and then I'm going to special the Sessor, getting the free Pudding Cess. Now that Pudding Cess becomes level 4, and I'm just trying to make sure my graveyard's okay. And then I summon an attack position just in case if he does pop either the other Madolche, like I could still go into attack, and then after damage calc with the Pudding Cess, I could go off furthermore and pop something for free. So that's why I leave it in attack position. And plus, since there are no monsters in my graveyard, it does get the boost through its own effect and the boost through Chateau, which I do believe it is 23. So I go ahead and take over it. So he's just gonna chain the effect to pop it, which I'm thinking about right now and seeing what further plays I can make. So I let that go through, and that's fine. And then I just use the effect to shuffle back in deck, which is fine by me because then it makes my Sessor live once more, and or my Angeli to get it off again. Just so you make it like a link play later on or something. You just always want to have that card in your deck. Have it in your hand or just have it in the grave, because it is not good at all. So from here on, I make the Queen Tiramisu, and then I use Tiramisu Effect to get back the Promenade and the Cesar back. And then, so I'm just getting rid of these two monsters because they are extremely problematic. So I go ahead and shuffle them back in, and then I go ahead and clear the field of anything that was really pesky, putting back that Trident, and then getting rid of the other XC monster that when it leaves the field's a bit thing. I'm not too sure, but that's okay because I just make the chocolate a la mode, making a 3k beater, and then even if he does get over that, I'm not too worried about it because it'll get things engraved, and I know that I have a way to get the Hook Cake and or Angeli onto the field the next turn probably. So he goes ahead and right got keys, which is completely fine, you know, and then he passes because he has nothing in his hand. So at this point, I know I could go off for free. So I have the Angeli to get the Petting Cess to get the Pudding Cess, and then I go ahead and overlay into the Glass Souffle, just standard Madolche combos at this point. And I know that I have a lot of Madolches in my graveyard, so that way I could, you know, recycle some monsters later on. So I get back the 2 XC monsters from the graveyard, because the effect says you can shuffle up to any 2 cards from either player's graveyard, and I definitely don't want him to get any sort of advantage through his graveyard, because I know that he could just straight up, you know, overlay whatever he needs to, or if I give him back that Thoroughblade or Ecclesia, it is not going to be good for me, because he has a lot of power cards in his grave, so I might as well just use that effect for my own advantage. So right now we're just double checking on some rulings on whether or not it goes back to hand, but we rule it that it just goes back to the deck, which is fine by me because I would rather have it in deck anyways because I could just get it later on, to be honest with you. So I go ahead and then get the Hook Cake off, the effect of Chocolate a la mode, and then use Hook Cake effect to get the Messenger Gelato effect to net me a free card, free spell or trap once per turn, so I could go ahead and probably get me another Messenger Gelato later on. So I go ahead and get the Salon for the extra normal just to push for damage, because I know that this is my only chance to do it. So I go ahead and normal summon, and I attack for game. As we enter game 2, Chiron's going to start. But before we get into the commentary furthermore, I would like to remind you guys all to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, because we have a lot more duels and deck profiles coming your way. And also, if you want to see the deck profiles, they will be in the description so you guys can see what exactly we're playing in this matchup. So Chiron starts off with the game 2, and he opens up extremely busted with the 10 key, getting the Rapier, and then going in straight full combo just to get the 1 card Mega Clops. So he uses Chalk and 9 detach, and then bring back the Trident, and then it goes into the Mega Clops, which is really kind of interesting for my deck to deal with because a lot of decks cannot deal with the Mega Clops. So I'm just trying to get the ruling on what the effect says. So it just is a free, just you can't, it's unaffected by card effects except by XCs, and that's really hard for a lot of decks to deal with. Madolche kind of but then he has a follow-up play to make an extender. So he gets the special with Ecclesia, and then he gets a free punishment, which is not good for me in the slightest because I know that I cannot deal with a punishment. Otherwise, I will probably lose the match. So he goes ahead and sets 2, which is even worse for me to deal with because I know now I have to make a play. Then I have to blind Cosmic Cyclone just to try to hit it. So I pay 1,000, and then I hit the Ice Dragon's Prison, which is even stronger at sometimes because if you banish the Madolche cards, it is really bad. So luckily I get rid of that, because now I can at least try to play around the punishment, which I know I can in some aspect because Madolche could just, you know, either if he hits at the wrong time, if they get destroyed by card effect, I can just shuffle them back in, which is completely fine. But if he does it at the correct time, and then I just don't get those resources back. So I know he's just trying to get my hand count, seeing what I could do, what he thinks I may have. So I go ahead and use a Cesar special and get the Pudding Cess for free, and also reducing his level by 1. So this is where it gets a little bit more interesting, because now I really have to play around this punishment. Because even if you were to like punishment me right now, it would still hurt me a lot because I would be forced to shuffle them back in my deck, and then he would have a free advantage to just swing, 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 and just probably be close to being close to getting an OTK on me. Thing with this deck is like what Zoodog is that it's not really an OTK style deck. It's more of like a very control based deck, to where they just kind of win the game by just gaining advantage through Trident, through Mega Clops, and through the dog cards. So right now I'm just gonna have to go into battle phase with the normal summon I did with Messenger Gelato, because I don't want my putting sets to go away. Otherwise it sucks. So I'm just trying to think of what I want to do here. So I normal summon, and then go into battle phase, attack over the Ecclesia, because it is 100 less than Messenger Gelato's attack. And now I'm starting to really think. I have a Call by the Grave, I have a Triple Tactics Talent, and I have an Angeli, which I want to save the Angeli. So I go ahead and special summon the Glassouffle. I use the Glassouffle effect, and he is thinking on the activation of Glass. So he goes ahead and fires off the punishment, because he knows that it is pretty much donezo for me if I have this, because I already made my normal summon. I've already locked myself into Madolche's through putting sets effect, and he has nothing else to worry about. So he goes ahead and he goes and sends the Titan Clad, and that will just completely knock over the Glassouffle. And I'm just thinking on what my follow-up play is after that, because now I'm put in a position where it's not looking so good. So I do have the Called By, so I'm going to fire off the Called By so that way he doesn't get a free Dogmatika card. Because I know that if he gets that engine rolling alongside with the Zoodiac cards, it is just really, really bad. So right now, I think that I could activate a Triple Tactics Talents, illegal activation, so we just run it back. And then I let him go for his turn. So he goes ahead and draws. He's looking through his graveyard to see his resources, seeing what he can and cannot activate. Now, he is also locked out of his extra deck until the end of the turn. But he doesn't care, because he just uses Mega Clops effect, target the card, and then he revives Trident with the putting sets as material, which is extremely strong, and something I forget later on during the duel that could have possibly won me the game. So now I have the Angeli normal summon, because I'm forced to use this line of play now, because if I don't, then I will lose the match 100%. I mean, you have to have some sort of play. You have to bait out those negations or something. So he goes ahead and Valors it, which is fine by me, because I was like, okay, so I could use my talents now, finally, right? So I go ahead and use talents. I'm going to use the effective talents to use the Change of Heart effect, so that way I steal a free monster. And this is where I really make a high-key misplay. It is not good. So I'm just thinking of what I want to take. I could have took the Dryden probably and popped it. Or I could have just took the Mega Clops and just got a free XC out of it with the Tiramisu. And I wasn't even thinking at this point. I was mostly just thinking how am I going to get rid of the Trident. And just a high tier misplay. I couldn't even believe my eyes. Like, I'm pretty much cringing at the fact that I didn't read the whole card, and nor did I remember the effect. And it just cost me, it honestly cost me the game here. Which is fine, because, as we look back in these commentaries, we see our misplays, we see other lines of play that we could have had that maybe could have been better, but that's okay. So I'm just thinking on what I could possibly get at this point, just to link it off or something, because I know that if I attack it, it's going to be 2k. So I go ahead and use the Access Kotaka for 3, but I realize that he is going to just Trident it that away on the summon, so it doesn't really matter in the long run. So not a good line of play. If I could have ran it back, I definitely would have used the Mega Clouds effect to just get me another free Madolche, but that's okay. So I pass it back to him, and he just gets the Thoroughblade off the 10-key he had. Extremely busted, and it's at this point I'm just like, well, I have an open field, and he just has full reign to do anything he wants. Because now he can special summon from deck. So now he gets Chalkanine effect, detach, bring back the Trident, goes ahead and does Tiger Mortar to attach to Trident, and then he gets the other card, his tech card, Fleur-de-Lis, and then that's game. So now we're finally in the all-important game 3. So I'm gonna go first with this one. My line of play, I believe, was to just kind of lock him out of the game as best as I could. So I go ahead and summon the Sessor, and then I go ahead and get the pudding cess. Standard Madolche plays. We all know, if you play this deck, we all know the same line of play that it does, and it does it very, very consistently, which is why we all like to play it. And if the opponent doesn't hand trap you at the correct time, then you could definitely lose the game. So I go ahead and activate the effect, detach, and then I go ahead and special from deck. Not once per turn, by the way. Extremely busted, as long as you have that pudding cess as material. So I go ahead and I get that hook cake to get rid of the glacier flake, to get that messenger gelato, and go ahead and get that chateau. Now I go ahead and get the Angeli effect, which is why I didn't get the Angeli immediately, because I knew I had it in hand anyway, so I just wanted to make the normal on that. So we go ahead and get the promenade on that just to get some sort of disruption, so that way I have some line of defense. So I go ahead and I'm going to probably get the send the Angeli back with the chateau, and then obviously set. I'm just thinking on my line of play on what I can and cannot do at this point, because I know I really have to play around the Trident for next turn, and also a possible Megaclops, and then also dealing with the Ecclesia searching as well. It's just a lot of things I have to think about at this point. So I go ahead and get the Magdalene off the special, because there's really no other way I could do it. I don't play 3 messenger gelatos, because that would be kind of a brick, to be honest. So I go ahead and make the freshest start, and then I go into Glacier Flay. I set 2, and then I go ahead and pass it off to my opponent. Now I'm thinking I got this in the bag here, because I had the Artifact Sanctum and then getting the Scythe for the free turn. But as we'll see, Chiron plays around that completely, and it just completely shifts the tide of the game here. So I go ahead and let him get a search, whatever, right? Because I know that I can negate something else later on in the game, in the match, through the promenade, and he has a lot of cards in hand, so even if we're to negate the Tenki, he probably has like another normal summon just to play through anything anyways. So it would have been for no reason to do that. But as soon as he makes the normal summon for Thoroughblade, I shotgun that Sanctum, getting that free Scythe. Scythe resolves. Now he's locked out of the extra deck for the rest of the turn, which is completely fine. So he's just trying to think of another line of play on how he could just kind of out this. So he goes ahead and Cosmic Cyclones that, and then I kind of just like let that go through, because what am I really gonna negate at that point? I could have negated with the promenade, but what had that had got me? I don't want to bounce any Madolche monsters quite yet, because I want to keep them on the field for field presence. So he goes ahead and gets the Ecclesia effect off. Then he gets the Fleur-de-Lis, because now he has to push for some sort of damage. So he gets the Ecclesia, Fleur-de-Lis, and then he has the Nadir Servant. Wow, what a hand, what a hand. So he goes ahead, sends the Entis, and then he goes ahead and gets the Fleur-de-Lis, and then Resolution. He tries to get over the Freshest Tart, but you cannot destroy the Freshest Tart. Spell the traps, and then also it just kind of revives back, and then I just chain the Glacier Flay, and then he chains the Fleur-de-Lis to negate the effect, which is perfectly fine, because I'd rather have the monsters go away anyways. So he goes ahead and attacks over the Gelato with Fleur-de-Lis, and then he goes ahead and gains 3 to 3,000 to attack over it. And I go ahead and shuffle that right back in, because I do not want that to be sitting in my graveyard at all, just in case if I were to get another card just as an extender, like a Hoot Cake or Angeli. So I go ahead, and then he attacks the Ecclesia, because he's 2k. He's going to crash into it, but I go ahead and just protect it, because I need that pudding cess back in my deck, so that way it does not clog up my graveyard, nor he could just DD Crow it later on if he does choose to side that card, which is pretty decent in Madolche, to be honest with you. So I go ahead and he passes it off to me. So I'm just thinking in my graveyard, like, wow, he truly played through that. He had the stones. So I go ahead and I have the Hoot Cake to target the Scythe, I believe, to banish. So you're just looking at my graveyard, seeing what I have in there as terms of resources, and he's looking through what he has, just to kind of refresh our minds for this game state right now. So he's gonna go ahead and thinking about maybe hand trapping me or activating punishment. So he does activate the punishment. So he's gonna send, I believe he sends an Entis, I believe. But yeah, so he goes ahead, or he gets a Titanclad. But he goes ahead and just gets rid of it, and it's looking pretty tough for me at this point because now I really have to think about my line of play here. I have a Fresh Start that really can't do much besides get over maybe the Thoroughblade or something like that, which I do. I enter battle, get rid of the Thoroughblade, and then I'm like, wow, how do I get over these Dogmatika cards? Because right now it's looking pretty tough because they're 3k, and then you just get over it more. So right now he's about to clean up game because he's gonna make them all gain 500 through the effect of Fleur de Lis. So he's gonna go ahead and crash. I go ahead and get rid of it, and he attacks for 3k, another 3k, and then 2,000 with the Ecclesia, and that's just about game. So I want to thank you guys all for watching this live duel commentary. I know it was kind of a long one, but I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys would like to see more of this type of content, please leave a like, comment what you guys thought about the matches. What would you guys have done differently? And always remember, get your game on.